The world of Skyrim is a place where seemingly anything can happen, yet it feels like it never goes too far into the darker side of stories it tells. And I think that having darker tones in Skyrim will enrich the world even more, so I am glad that I am not the only one who thinks that way. Viken is one of the creators who is clearly inspired by Soul's stories, and there is one other who implements similar ideas but on a smaller scale and blends them with Skyrim's world. I'm talking about Nimwraith again, and I want to talk about 3 stories made by him that were created in a fashion of Souls-like. First one is Calling the Watchmaker. Once again, it's a unique quest. No wait, it's actually extremely unique quest. We arrive at the lonely cabin near Markers. Old man we see inside doesn't care about us, but he seems to agree to entertain our visit.
Bandit, a mindless murderer, or he was scholar, with a mind ravenous for something more. A pursuit, if you will. Yes, very well. Names and all, I understand. You clearly mean no ill will. My name is Draenos. You are privileged to know the name. It will soon be etched into the annals of history, for I am a researcher of Arbis.
He tells us about his research. After saying goodbyes, we leave only to come back a week later. He tells us how the progress goes, and the interesting detail is that his hair is now not tied up, probably meaning that he has no time for it anymore, judging by his passion of researching cities. We leave once more only to come back another week.
Is the road paved before me. I walk its branching paths. I see its forks. I grow more legs. We are not but a speck of dust to a man. We are insignificant, fragile. We can never hope to attain the answers, never.
Old man changed. His face is dirty and he shaved his hair, which was probably on the way of his eyes when he leans over the table. Old man became crazy. He speaks almost gibberish, but we get a few hints of what have caused it.
It gazed back.
Nothing gazed back. We leave in hopes of seeing him again, only to come back to an empty cabin. His books are burned and not a trail of his whereabouts. We come back next month during winter. Letters scattered around the horrors which caused his pursuit of things he couldn't understand. His burned body left in the middle of night sky. It's a fantastically voice-acted story, by an actor of which voice I still think about for some reason. It was very memorable to me. But what about the story itself? It's clearly Lovecraft-inspired, just like the title says. Forbidden knowledge, entities that we cannot comprehend, and mysterious death of the character. Although to me it felt like a light version of Discerning the Transmundane, quest from the vanilla game. The biggest difference is that we can see the characters fall into madness. The character itself feels like a mix between Calsalmo and Septimus Signus. His first reaction is aggressive towards the player, just like our first interaction with Calsalmo.
You are truly that easily swayed? To see the work that must be done, you let yourself be intimidated into stagnation? What kind of useless one? No, I apologize. I've submerged myself in an ancient reality for so long, I'm afraid I'm losing touch with my own. Continue your questions, if you have more.
I told you I'm not hiring any more guards. Why do you people always bother me when I'm trying to finish my research? You idiot! Do you even know who I am? The most recognized scholar on the Dwemer in all of Tamriel. And you people keep bothering me. Oh, I'm sorry, I got too excited. I'm in the middle of some very stressful work, and I shouldn't have yelled. How can I help you?
And I love these types of characters. It always feels comfortable to be around them for some reason. But the wish for him to be more unique is still there. Judging by how small the quest is to be called a quest line, having more dialogue options to agree-disagree on certain topics would be a perfect addition without railroading the same path each playthrough. Now, next thing I want to say may be too much for such a mod, but it would have made the whole thing more impactful and made it much more different than our interactions with Calcelmo and Septimus. What if his character depends on us giving him ancient manuscripts for research, and depending on which manuscripts we give him, we'd get different outcomes in his research. Not to sound hateful, this is the mod that I will always keep in my mod list, but being a creator myself, you can't help it but to feel like the concept could have been realized much stronger. And as far as I know, the author himself strives to re-implement things in a better way. For example, one of his latest creations was a remake of his older story, which is fantastic news, and hopefully I'll cover it in the future. Now, the next story is called and inspired it is. You can see it right away by the way characters were implemented. All of them are interactable by speaking through the door.
Are you a hunter? I just really look for my mum. Daddy never came back from the hunt, and she went to find him. But now she's gone too. I'm all alone and scared.
My mother, she hardly ever spoke to me of my past, of my father, or what I am, but she will to you. I know it.
She's clearly not in good health and asks for our help to find out what happened to her mother and why she's getting progressively sick. We were sent to a remote tundra homestead, where from what we can gather is that her mother died and her father somehow connected to all of this, and he knew what will happen to his daughter. And the worst part is the woman was held hostage by her mother her whole life in the basement. Truly scary. But that's not all. We can see a hidden pathway barred up with wood planks. The mystery grows deeper, just like my little friend. We come back to this sickly woman and she tells us to go to a remote village her father is from.
She knew what would happen to me. She didn't warn me.
The mysterious man knew we were coming and greets us with a familiar voice.
I see your fear. Names and titles, they do not matter here. Questions and answers supreme and paramount. They rule.
Of course it's not the same character, but still, I'm happy to see his actor on a payroll. The mysterious man knew everything and tells us that his daughter must come back to the village.
She must come here.
We go ahead and tell her about everything we found out.
Thank you, my friend. Oh, finally, after all these years, I can belong and learn the truth. Please, where must I go?
It's a simple quest, but with some hidden details. You can come back to her house. It was not a perfect life for her, but I'm curious, how did she get this beautiful house? We can see her thanks written on a letter under the table. If we investigate the hidden village, we can see 4 pillars outside, which could be a reference to Lovecraft, I'm not sure. And between the houses, with lit windows, there is an entrance to an icy cave. Some sort of ritual was done here. 5 hands, skull, and a rib cage. Definitely some reference. And most important, before the quest ends, you can see some entity's eyes that are gazing at the whole thing. Peculiar. Those eyes we can find in one of Nimbray's future projects, which makes it feel like some type of connected universe is going on here. The only messy thing here is the way dialogue before investigating is implemented. You can get the objective to investigate the village after any of the options, but the quest will not work if you didn't select the proper dialogue option, which will lead you to inability to interact with the mysterious man. The only way to fix this is to go back and start the conversation all over and select I'll go there right away, which will add a second objective to investigate the village, the real one. Small inconvenience in otherwise great quest if you ask me, has very intense vibe to it, and the voice actress is going straight for the Oscar with her cough compilation.
Why me?
I am impressed. The last quest I'm gonna talk about is called The Hunt for This one has not only a unique quest line, but also a unique story. The author says it in his own description. He also says that it's basically a tribute to Dee from Elden Ring. We start our journey at the edge of the river, where we can see a man who fought the bear protecting some small village of little people. It's a unique thing to my own mod list, but it fits to his character.
Oh, my apologies. I was consumed in thought. I'm sure you understand. You may call me Ren.
We speak to the knight named Ren and learn all about the Spectre.
The Spectre. That is who. What I hunt. Yes, it seems so. His mark, his taint, is undeniable. You see its victims even here. We meet again.
In our next meeting, we learn about his brother. When I heard this, I thought that his brother would be the Spectre himself, but the story surprised me by not doing this trope.
Why? Why?
On our next meeting, Ren lost his amulet in some nearby shack, and we gave it back to him.
Since I first opened my eyes, you've done me a great favour. I don't have anything to give you, except for my utmost gratitude.
The last meeting, if you didn't gather from all the other quests, will be truly his last. Ren dies, killing the Spectre and fulfilling his duty. We can then find Spectre's diary, where he describes his story with a little bit of spite in the words. He doesn't have a dark backstory, he had a loving family and just wanted to go the darkest way he could. Now, I will be completely blunt here. I am not sure how to feel about this story. It's a great concept and fantastically implemented into the open world. We can see messages about the Spectre scattered around Skyrim, and the voice acting is well done. I love the little detail with the random shack where you could find his amulet and bring it to him. But the story itself didn't catch me. The Spectre is vaguely related to the story or characters. It's basically a goal. And Brother's story also feels like it didn't connect to the whole story. I think it's supposed to fuel Ren's pursuit, but it doesn't look like his goal was any different before. Not to discourage the author with my insanely popular videos, but I wish that the author would make more unique stories, just inspired by some things from other creations. Otherwise, it can't be a unique thing if it's heavily inspired and follows the same tropes as some other story. I get that it's unique for Skyrim, where most stories have a happy ending, but that shouldn't be the only metric for the author. And I truly hope to see a story that the creator makes that is unique to his own vision. Other than that, it's a really joyful experience to go through those stories for the first time, to find them all over Skyrim and get unexpectedly pulled into some of the darkest corners of the lore.
There once was a hero named Ragnar.